T to the Bruin Table Talk.
Hi everyone, my name is Michaela.
I'm Charisma.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Cameron.
And welcome to Bruin Table Talk.
In honor of Black History Month, we are having a few notable Black alumni here for our show this month.
And today our special guests are
Earl Watson and Baron Davis. Okay, so Earl Watson is a UCLA men's basketball alumni class of 2001. During his time at UCLA, he earned Pac-10 all-freshman team honors and was a four-year starter. During his senior year, he averaged 14.7 points, 5.2 assists, and 3.7 rebounds, while also earning first-team all-Pac-10 honors. After his college career, Earl was drafted by the Seattle Supersonics in the second round of the 2001 NBA draft with the 39th overall pick. He played 13 seasons in the NBA before becoming an assistant coach for the Austin Spurs in 2014. In 2015, he became the assistant coach for the Phoenix Suns before becoming the head coach in 2016. Currently, Earl is now doing broadcasting and in-studio analysis for the Pac-12 network.
Baron Davis is a UCLA men's basketball alumni, born and raised in Los Angeles. During his career at UCLA, he averaged 13.6 points and 5.1 assists overall, while becoming the Pac-10 Freshman of the Year and making the third-team All-American team his sophomore year. He followed his stellar career by being drafted in the first round of the 1999 NBA draft with the third pick to the Charlotte Hornets. He ended his career a two-time NBA All-Star, one-time All-NBA third team, and two-time NBA Steals Leader. After his playing career, Baron began his broadcasting career as well as his career in film and television. He also has multiple successful businesses. Welcome, Baron and Earl. How are you all doing?
Good. Real good. Thanks for having us. This is amazing.
Of course. Thank you for being on the show. So we're going to get right into it. So take me back to y'all experience at being a Black student athlete at UCLA. You are the first freshman backcourt to ever start at UCLA. You are also roommates. Tell me about your experience and just what it was like being at UCLA.
What do you want to know?
What was it like?
You want me to spill the beans?
I think, Baron and I, we met at Nike camp, and like our bond was just so amazing. It's almost like I knew him my whole life. And with me being from Kansas City and him being from Los Angeles, you would think that would be awkward, but we immediately connected. And I say this all the time, there's two people in my life that have got me to where I am. And the first one was Jerron Rush, who eventually joined us at UCLA, but Baron was that guy for me. And I tell this all the time, it's awkward to play with your favorite point guard of all time. Like, that's really weird. But for me, he was my favorite point guard of all time. So as much as I was a fan, I would watch all his games and try to catch him in high school. He's also was a brother and a teammate. And without him, I don't think I am the player I am today or the person.
And I say vice versa. When Earl came to UCLA, he actually stayed with me, in LA. And I think at that moment we became, connected at the hip and brothers. And it's rare that you find somebody that you can think alike. And I would take it back to like the dorms when we would sit up, listen to rap music and really talk about the world, right? And to like find somebody who like been through so much and, had felt like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders and so much to prove and so much to say. I think it became my mentality too. And, going back to them dorms, it was just like some of the most in-depth conversations. We just sitting there just talking about how we want to change the world, how we want to give back, where we come from, and I credit that to Earl because he was already rooted like that, you know what I mean? And so, for me, it was just like having somebody, a sounding board that, we can talk about things like that and kind of like, somebody who was down with you and like we was both kind of living out each other's dreams.
And I was always the third date. Like I was the dude in the back seat when Baron was on the date, so I knew he loved me for life. I was the bro. He was like, "Yo, why you back there smacking all that?" I'm like, "You fool!" Like in the back seat.
It was a good buffer. It was a good buffer.
Speaking of food, when you guys were at UCLA, did you have any like dining halls that you guys liked, or like where was your go-to spot on campus?
I can tell you Earl's was shit. She used to smack at like 2:00 in the morning. He'll order shit and I'd be asleep, and all you hear is somebody smacking and like slurping on a soda, and I'd be like, man, Lord have mercy. And you want to tell him to stop, but he sounded like he was having just the best time of his life.
We all know Baron don't go to sleep, so he definitely wasn't asleep. But we had a spot on campus that I don't think y'all have anymore. It was called Puzzles.
Puzzles on the late night.
It was a late night spot we could go to. They serve food to like, what, 2 in the morning?
Yeah.
We would just go there and eat. But one thing me and Baron did do, like we had a lot of fun. We played around a lot. But we also would sometimes just drive through Bel Air and Beverly Hills talking about, you know, how do we get our family into situations or communities like this? And I think that forced us mentally to start thinking and growing outside of just the court and being basketball players.
Yeah, we don't have puzzles. I don't think that's a thing anymore.
No, yeah.
We do. But I know something about late night. Late night is always good on campus.
Yeah.
Y'all got it good. Y'all got it good, FYI. Y'all got it real good. Y'all eating good. Y'all training good. I'm mad.
But speaking about your community, Earl, that just kind of just reminds me of Lauren and I are actually in Black Student Athlete Alliance, which is something that we started last summer after the killing of George Floyd. And just, I think that has just been a great experience for Lauren and I, just to use our platform. And like you said, bring community together, especially Black athletes on campus who were so separated in every single sport, but to just bring that together was super important for us to create that community, but also talk about just like the Black experience and talk about just Black excellence in general. And so that's really cool that you also had that same mission and kind of same platform as well when you were in college.
Yeah, Earl, I actually remember me and Michaela's freshman year, you came and talked to the team and you used some more choice words that we're not letting you use today. But I remember you told us just when you were here as a player that you made it very clear just as a player the power you had, and that as much as there's stuff in place and there's all these rules and stipulations, that ultimately as players we still have so much more power than sometimes the systems want us to think about. And so I think even talking to Michaela this summer, that's been the best thing with BSA to call back on, is just realizing when we want things to change and we want people to kind of take us serious, to realize like the power starts with us and that games aren't going to happen, practices won't happen if they're not hearing us out with that. And so even in making lists of demands and they want us to be a little more passive, like that was definitely a conversation I could call back on. Like, I don't know, Earl said he wasn't wearing them shoes because he wasn't under that contract. So
Hey, even though UCLA is now moving to Nike, I just want to let y'all know that Baron and I was the first players in the history of UCLA to wear Nike in the middle of a game. And when they try to make us take off our shoes, we was like, nah, we don't have a contract with Adidas or Reebok. Like, we were the first to do it. So y'all following our trend. Yeah. Thank us later. We are the trailblazers.
Yeah. That's how we got the AIs though.
So we leveraged wearing Nike to get better Reeboks, and they came back with them Allen Iversons. We was like, yeah, we'll rock those for sure.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
but I do want to commend you all for using your platform, right? You know, I think the opportunity to be a part of your movement and be a part of this next generation is what's exciting for us, right? And you're taking action, right? You're taking responsibility. And, you know, not only are, you know, you speaking up, but you're doing it together, right? And I think that there's power in unity and there's power in alignment and, you know, really taking the time out, you know, while you have school, you know, to be, you know, aware, right, and woke and understand your power and your platform. You know, I definitely, you know, bow and salute you, you know, and all that for, you know, being leaders in LA, you know, for our youth and our community.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think it's super cool how Mick and Lauren have been using their platform with BSA, and then how we started More Than a Dream. These type of things used to make me super uncomfortable because I didn't want other people to feel that way. So for us to start this and start it with some of my closest friends has meant the world to me. It's just been so amazing to do. And just like using our platform has just been so awesome, and like something that I never thought I would really be doing. But I wanted to ask, why do you guys think it's important for you guys to use your platforms?
I mean, I come from nothing, and I feel like I've had a certain type of privilege, I've also had a certain type of struggle. It's still a certain type of struggle. So, I kind of look at myself as a pioneer, and, every door I can knock down, every door I can open, every window I can bust, right, to get us in there. It's like, that's kind of the mentality that I've had. And so, whether it was earlier, when we were at UCLA to now, it's just really been a sponge to information, right? And someone who can pass that off and be a resource for the next generation.
Yeah, and I agree. I think Bear and I have so many powerful influences throughout our life. My father and his grandmother, who helped take me in before I even got to UCLA, when I lived with them for like 3 months. And they had so much love because they come from such a different generation that really fought for integration and really went through things we can't imagine. But when they talk to us with love and responsibility. And we have to, pursue that for them because we owe it to them, but we also owe it to you. Like, it's not up for you all to do all the fighting and risking all of your, leverage. We have to also risk ours to allow you to surpass us in the present and the future. And that's the only way Barron's kids and my kids can surpass you. So we got to bring it to the forefront, and people listen because our communities listen because of what we accomplished on the court and off the court. But if we don't show you, how are you going to be better than us?
Yeah, no, that's deep right there. And I think we're just the product of all the windows y'all busted, all the doors y'all helped creak open so we could bust through and take down the doors. And I think that's really kind of why we wanted to start More Than a Dream, because we kind of wanted to finish what y'all have already started, help break down doors for the next generation, so that our kids don't have to worry about this or have these type of conversations, that they'll be in the high places that we could have only like dreamed of, really. So like, we're just so thankful that y'all took the time to help break those doors, break those barriers, do what you have to do so we could stand in the place where we could do it. And now it's our obligation, our duty to just like go finish that forward.
Yeah. And I think UCLA is a place for that. When you go back to, Jackie Robinson and, Rayford Johnson and, all the great people, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lou Alcindor, Bill Walton, just all the great athletes before us that, kind of gave us their platform too. So, we definitely want to recognize them, the giants, whose shoulders we stand on, right? To have an opportunity for our generation to speak up. So.
Yeah, and Barron and I was very privileged to have Wooden around, Coach Wooden. And Coach Wooden would have wanted you to do this. He's all for forward progression and social views and breaking that down and bringing people together and giving your narrative to the world. He's all for that in a positive way through basketball. So he would have supported you. He would have been so proud of you. And that's just the way UCLA make us, man. They make us very, very mindful and intelligent enough to sit in any room and have that, that rhetorical debate or that chess match, so to speak, to where we also can, be impactful and execute things that we see with our perspective.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You listed a whole bunch of great just men from the past, great Black men. So specifically like in this climate, because as we said earlier, we started More Than a Dream after the killing of George Floyd. So how has it been for y'all specifically being Black men in this climate and then also raising kids?
I think for me, it's I said this before. Someone asked me about, when did I become mindful of the social issues? And I think it's, for me, it's the first time I ever went outside. You know, I grew up in the Midwest, and the Midwest is a little bit more aggressive with racial views than the West Coast. It's all different, you know. Racism evolves like, you know, a disease like cancer. It evolves and it changes. So it's not the same issues most of the time from the 60s. They evolve to different ways and how they attack us and attack different people. So for me, it's a lot of mindfulness, it's a lot of conversations, and unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of allowing our kids to grow up to always just be kids. We have to talk to them about certain things because we're not going to always be around them at the age of, you know, 10. For young boys, 10 to 14, anything's possible in a negative way in these streets, or even at school, or even playing in a park with a gun. Like, we just don't have those luxuries. So we have to talk to them early. And personally, for me, my daughter is more like me. She's 11, and she's more of the, you know, well, I'm gonna start like a protest at school for mindfulness and just speaking on what it is. And, you know, obviously she doesn't go to predominantly Black schools, so it's like it's different ways you attack that. You can't be, for her and us, yet she can't be forward aggressive. She has to still use her narrative, bring mindfulness, but understand it's always going to be backlash. Where my son is a little bit different. My son is more, it's crazy because Barron to me was always someone I aspired to be like personally. Like, he just attracts people. Like, he's so big and he's so funny, and he has this personality that's bigger than the world. My son is like Barron. Like, he is like the life of the party. He attracts people and he brings people together just from his talents, but he's also very mindful. And he's only 5, about to turn 6, but we got to have those conversations.
Yep. Yeah, and I say for me, you know, we are always Black in America, you know, at the end of the day. And, you know, I've kind of, you know, had the opportunity to see the bottom of the bottom, you know, the highest of the high, and also live through my friends, right? You know, visiting Earl, staying with him when, you know, I was a freshman in the summertime. I got to see racism in a whole nother, you know, in a whole nother spectrum, right? And, you know, a divide between, you know, Black and white, where I went to a private school that was predominantly white, right? And I lived in South Central, which is predominantly Black and brown. And so, you know, I just think understanding that no matter where you are and who you are, and who came before you, there's a history, there's a substance, there's an understanding, you know, there's, you know, something about us, right, that we are trying to find in ourselves. And that's that interconnectivity to each other. You know, that's that breaking down the stereotypes. That's the breaking down the colors of stereotypes of us. You know, how Black are you? How not Black are you? You know what I mean? How inclusive are you? You know, and then I think that just all revolves around, you know, this virus we call ignorance, right? And, you know, ignorance can be taken in so many ways, shapes, forms, and fashions. But if we lead with love, you know what I mean? And we lead with the understanding that, you know, we're not perfect and we're all trying to find ourselves and find ourselves in each other, and stand up for something that has come before us. And, you know, I think that's where, you know, I stand as a Black person in America, right? Is understanding that, and understanding that, you know, whatever I do, wherever I go, um, you know, I have to understand that there is going to be generations of Black men in America, and I have to set a certain standard and a responsibility, right? And, you know, that goes on both ends as you're reaching for the stars, and then on the other end as you're pulling people up. And so, you know, that's just kind of, you know, how I feel.
Yeah, I love that. I love that what you when you said lead with love. Like I think that's what this world sometimes can lack a lot, and it's unfortunate. Like you said, some people are just ignorant, and there's just a lot of ignorance in this world. Can you talk about specifically more like how is it raising biracial kids in this environment as well as just being a Black man too?
You know, I would say for my kids, I tell them that, you know, they're exactly what the world they're going to grow up in, right? And so no matter what you look like, you know, your daddy is that, right? You come from this, and letting them know that, you know, you are a celebration of every year, every calendar year in the year, and that, you know, Black History Month is your celebration month, right? And so, you know, understand that, you know, you are Black, you are Brazilian, you are white, right? And so you embrace all of that and trying to be, you know, the best embodiment of it all and bring it all together, because you're going to ultimately, you know, be responsible for, you know, how these worlds align.
And for me, I grew up biracial. My mom is Mexican American, my dad is African American. And I never thought being biracial would have such a bigger voice at a time like now, where I can give so many different perspectives and narratives on, you know, the pain, the mindfulness, the why, the reasoning, and then how to move it forward. So I think, you know, like Barron said, the future of our country is going to be a lot more mixed than a lot of people want to realize. But we also have, you know, the responsibility of pushing like Black culture forward.
For sure, for sure. Baron, you said something that stuck out to me. You said that Black History Month is the month for y'all, for talking to your kids, for your kids to celebrate, like really celebrate who they are. So I have a question for both of you. How do y'all like? What are your feelings behind Black History Month? Like, what do you enjoy the most about it? Why is it just 1 month? For like, why can't we just bring that celebration out through like the rest of the year? And just your feelings behind Black History Month in total.
Well, I think we should never handicap ourselves to celebrating each other, celebrating our culture, right? And I think that's it's our responsibility to do that throughout the year. When it comes to Black History Month, you know, just growing up as a kid, that's, you know, where you learn, right? So for me, I get excited because I know that there are kids in elementary school, preschool, and, you know, even though, you know, I have my opinions on education, you know, I believe that there is a route to education that we can start to give our kids the necessary tools, the education, the fun, the coloring books, the things of that nature, right? That gives us a little bit more awareness of our contributions to this world, especially to the United States. And so, you know, that's kind of like my vision for Black History Month is really it's a celebration and a rose ceremony and an opportunity to just take the time out and every day just find something new, learn something new about who you are and where you come from.
And then for me personally, I have a friend who is not just only celebrating Black History Month in February, but he's also creating Black History holiday characters so people can be aware, right? And for me, growing up in Kansas City, we celebrated Juneteenth from the beginning of time, like through parks, freedom, celebrations, music, food. So I think the celebration of Black history has become regional. And I think the conversation is starting to make it national. Like it's not only in a month, it's so many times around the year where we can be aware and have some type of, you know, celebration and awareness to teach our children to be proud of the things that, you know, we have overcome as a group of people and things that we have accomplished that we don't get the recognition for.
Yeah, Earl, you have mentioned now a couple times being from Kansas City, and I'm from St. Louis myself. So I think it's a big difference that a lot of people don't know geographically in America. Like the messaging you're getting in the Midwest is so different. And Black kids, especially, and minority kids as a whole, like you're just not taught about the same opportunities as kids growing up on the West Coast. You don't see people looking like you doing everything. Can you just talk about like what has that been like for you to come up to accomplish all you had, and then to turn around and want to give back and to want to create those same opportunities and show kids really what all they can be and all that their potential can have them actualize?
Yeah, it's just bringing this back. That's where Barron has gave me so much confidence just being around him. Because with him being from LA, his confidence and his narrative has always been there since I met him. And as you know, in the Midwest, we are taught to almost like stay in our place keep our head down, don't get in trouble. We don't want no confrontation. But I'll always have this burning desire in my heart to just express my experiences. And being around Barron gave me that confidence to see how he does it, how he moves, and how he can be professional in doing it. Where in the Midwest, it's like you hold it in so long it explodes, right? And I think that's the beauty of actually UCLA. That's the beauty of UCLA. Coming to UCLA and actually learning from the people who was actually in the room when certain, historical events mattered and happened. They're not learning from a book, they're writing from experiences. And the mindfulness and the student body at UCLA is so brilliant. And then you mix in the African-American student body at UCLA. The fact that you are African-American and you've gotten into UCLA, however you gotten into UCLA, means you have overcome so many things already, from education to, social environments to financial situations, and you're there. And now you put that with education and the higher education of UCLA, and your mind starts to just click and evolve. And now I have a preschool, and then in Kansas, my old neighborhood, and it's mixed. And we do bilingual classes, and we do GEDs for parents who didn't graduate. And now I have certain things that my mind are just going that I just want to just pour back into the communities that I came from.
And I went to Kansas City, and I remember, like, I had never seen it until I saw it through Earl's eyes. And I think that, it's a testament to UCLA, but it's also a testament to him, like he didn't give up. There was time and time, that, he wanted to go back home. He wanted to go back and play for Kansas. And I think, for him, to be a kid from the Midwest and, to see you, Lauren, from St. Louis taking that leap of faith, I just think that he kind of opened up and got away from a lot of the no's, right? A lot of you can't do, a lot of you have to be like this. And, like I'm telling you, man, this dude used to keep me up at night. I'd be like, yo, where is your mind, dog? Like, are you like 80 years old, dog? Like he just and for me, it was just, it gave me the soul and I would say the confidence, right, to go out and be like, all right, well, I'm just gonna say it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. The stuff we talk about, I'm just gonna say it. And I'm gonna express, how I feel, how Earl feel, but for him, he was just always like a deep thinker, right? And I saw that, and I saw where he came from, and I was like, nah, bro, like, you mean more to Kansas City by being here at UCLA. And, when you see what he's doing now and speaking up, in City Hall and fighting for teachers and, bringing Black and brown together, not only in the Midwest where it's a high population, but also here. And then just also pouring his soul into these next generations of athletes, right? If you met the Earl Watson that I met, or like my grandmother would call him shy boy, you know what I mean? Like, he ain't shy no more, you know what I mean? And, to be stepping up and, just really being the next generation leader, even post NBA, I think is just a testament of him putting his head down and believing, that he had a greater purpose and a greater mission when he came to LA.
I think that's super, super dope. I can tell that y'all have a special bond, definitely.
That's my dog.
I love it. Yeah, Baron, you said something about how just Earl always wanting to kind of bring up the next generation. So Earl, can you talk about just how you were an MBA coach and just like how that experience was for you?
I've been so blessed to be around so many greater skilled, talented players my entire life, from, my travel team, from Jerron Rush and all the All-Americans that just coming into UCLA with Barron. And a lot of schools try to use Barron's commitment to you. We committed 5 minutes apart and still stay to that commitment, but schools will call me and try to get me away from going to school with him, saying I wouldn't play. Barron's gonna take all the minutes, but I kept telling him, like, I want to learn. Like, I want to put myself around the best point guard in the country, who in my eyes was just doing things I've never seen a point guard do before. It was like, you know, when I got to LA, I thought the ocean was crazy and the beach and palm trees. I'm like, how could you ever have a bad day here? Like, I was walking home in the snow and tornadoes and rainstorms. And then I got to the gym and just saw how Barron worked. And I was like Barron's work ethic and his skill was more impressive than the ocean, like, for me. And I just been blessed, man. I've been blessed. So when I'm learning how to be effective in the game with talented players as my teammates, I was never scared of any point guard in the country because I seen him every day in practice. So my confidence was super high, and we was always on opposite teams in practice, even though we started together for competition level. So he gave me the confidence, and watching him play, I learned the game, and then continued to evolve myself just watching players. I started to realize I am most effective learning the game than I am playing the game. But if I can learn the way the defense shift and learn what happens and how offense works, and I can start drawing it up and manipulate the game in my mind, but I would practice at home drawing it up too, then I can start being more effective, making plays for my teammates better. And if you make your teammates as a point guard have easier shots, or you make them better, they're going to fight for you to get on the court. And that led to my NBA career. And then that eventually led to me just wanting to give back and coach and teach, because I played for so many great coaches, had so many great influences as, you know, those who was around me coaching.
But you also played, what, 15 years in the league, dog?
13.
13 years in the league. And I would say, you know, you were a coach's player, a coach's point guard, which makes you a player's coach. You know, I watch you and I watch, you know, how you built your career, and, you're not just out there, you know, you were out there playing, you know, initiating. And I think it's important, you know, for, you know, especially this network to know that, you know, like, your knowledge, right, was absorbed by your appreciation of great coaches and what you could take from any and every coach you learn from, right? I myself, no. You know what I mean? Like, it was a different situation, but, you know, I think the way you approach the game, right, from a certain professionalism and a certain understanding was like, man, I need to get all the knowledge that I possibly can, you know, out of coaches, out of players, out of great players, you know, even players that were not that good, you know, and I think that's what made you a great player in your entire career, where you made people better. And I think that's what, you know, as players, you know, we all strive for. So basketball is, you know, a forever teaching tool, right? It's a forever teaching mechanism. And I think, you know, the more you learn the game from the coach's perspective, the more you just understand, you know, how to better apply what you do, you know, in the heartbeat of the game.
And I think it's important for you all as teammates to understand that, you know, when Barron, I was at UCLA, Barron attracted to Magic Johnson in the pickup games. Like, Barron built that relationship. I built my relationship with Coach Wooden, and I think we took those paths in life. Where in business, I'm gonna always lean on Barron. With basketball, he's gonna call me, and then vice versa. Even when I was coaching, I would call Barron and be like, yo, look, like, Book is gonna be a superstar. You were a superstar. What can I tell him that I never experienced? Like, I'm not afraid to go get the resources and put them in front of me and ask them questions so I can be a better anything. And Barron, vice versa, we had these deep conversations, and we just know our strengths and weaknesses, and that's where we balanced each other.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you guys are able to use each other and bounce back off of each other on those things. I just wanted to ask about you being the first Mexican-American head coach in the NBA, and how that representation happened with you, and like, why is that so important for you? Because I think representation is so big and kids look up to you for doing that. So why is that so important?
It's unique because my mom, we about to get deep here. Like my mom, when I was young, my mom always told me that, be proud of both cultures. She said, but the world is going to always see you as Black. So that's how you're going to live out here, is going to be Black. But I grew up in both cultures. So for me, being the first, not only Mexican-American coach in the NBA history, but also the first former UCLA basketball player to be a head coach in the history of all our great lineage and history we had at UCLA. For me personally, that was more powerful for me, for my grandfather, who I never met, who left Mexico because of a civil war. Like, he didn't want to come to America because he was seeking jobs. Like, he left Mexico because it was literally a civil war and he was afraid, it was a revolution. I'm sorry, he was afraid of, being murdered. So he snuck over into Texas. And then, my mom growing up as, first generation Mexican-American, and all the hardships of my mom had, not graduating from high school, having my oldest brother at the age of 14, she wasn't supposed to have a kid like me, So when I came up and I seen everything and I'm the fifth boy, so she went through a lot before she got to me. And I just seen how every brother was fighting to make our life better. And my mom and dad was still trying to create positive momentum for our family. I feel like it's always was my responsibility to do something, which I'll say uncommon, right? I knew I had to be uncommon. And that uncommon, mindset started with me just daydreaming. I'm just being honest with you. Like I would be in class and I would be looking out the window daydreaming, like on what I was going to be. I didn't have a plan B. Like, I didn't have no plan C, it was plan A. And my plan A was through this basketball thing, and I was gonna make it. I don't care if I was born in Kansas, Missouri, or LA, California. I was going to make it because I had to change my family life and I had to influence those after me. And the influence wasn't, financial. The influence is now all my nephews and nieces are graduating from college. And that was the influence. And that to me was way more powerful.
Yeah, just to add.
That was hard, dog. Had to give that. Had to give that. Had to give that.
Just to add on to that, with representation comes lack of representation. So how do you guys feel about lack of Black figures in high positions?
I'm sick about it. But I think that, we all sick about it, and it's a time for us, like I always say, to create our own ecosystem, right? So we do have people in high places. And, I think for me, it's really about taking the time to think about a business, an entrepreneur, a mentor, advice, and think about collectively, where do you want to see that person measure out, right? And then what do you want to impart with this person so they feel that they're holding some responsibility, right, for you helping them. And so, for me, I think that it's time for us to be more inclusive within ourselves, to create more hierarchy with the things that we need for us, and really start to invest and build those opportunity to solve those problems.
And that's where I lean on Baron. Like, that conversation is a Baron conversation for me, because I know he has the business mindset to see it, through on so many different levels. Whereas to me, I'm just like, we just need more people. Like, we are qualified. Like, why isn't it happening? And Baron to come through with that plan of, this is how we make it happen for ourselves first, using our community wealth of creativity, of, innovation, of our voice and our experiences and our culture, which is so powerful in the world. And we don't realize that we have the power. Like, we have the platform, we have the ability, the network, to not do it a traditional way. like we were raised in the school books and read about. We have to do it a creative way, but we have to come together. Like Baron and I have to, once again, bringing it back, we have to circle back and make sure we open up the doors for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, like you said, just building community, building innovation in our communities is just so important in the Black community. So now we're going to transition to a little bit of more fun questions. I know you were just getting super deep, which I appreciate, but this part is super important too. So my first fun question is, what is your favorite NBA moment for both of you all?
I would say my favorite NBA moment was my first preseason game when we were playing against Boston. And, you know, I checked into the game and I was like, man, I just got the ball and I remember I was like, yo, I'm just going to find the rim and try and dunk. And Never Nervous Purvis, a 7-foot center, jumped in front of me and took a charge. And I was hot. I was upset. I was like, I did not make it to the NBA for a 7-foot center to take a charge. But all I can remember is that first game, I couldn't see anything. Like the lights were just oh so bright, and I was just not used to that lighting. So that was like the funniest part for me, one of my favorite parts.
And for me, it's I was so blessed to have Baron in college and practice every day, and then getting drafted with Gary Payton. Every day with Gary Payton is straight comedy. But I always felt like I had like that blessing of here I go again with another superstar. I'm about to learn some more. And just being around him and that whole rookie year, seeing Baron for the first time in another jersey, like it's almost like, hey, you made it, dog. Like we was in heaven. Like, you made it. Like give me a hug. Like it was just awesome, man. It was like everything we talked about finally came true.
That's so cool. I bet the memories are just hilarious. So my next fun question is, who was your favorite person to play with outside of each other? Because I already know, Earl, you probably gonna say Barry.
I'll probably say Earl too. As far as the NBA is concerned, I would say one of my favorite teammates, outside of Monte Ellis, who was like another little brother to me, my favorite teammate was Zach Randolph. He was probably he is probably one of my favorite people of all time. There was never a dull day with Zach Randolph at practice, at the games. He's a great one. He's a great one.
And I think for me, it was towards the end when I really started to appreciate it more because the NBA, it happens so fast. And for me, it's probably, you know, Dame Lillard, just seeing how he grew up and how he changed and morphed and the person who he really was and seeing his family all together. Like you knew the kid was going to do something special, but his locker was next to mine. He would rap all day. I'm like, bruh, quit rapping. Like, I'm tired of hearing your freestyles, dog. Let's go to practice.
Game time. I love it. I love it.
Okay, so we've been in this pandemic for a minute now, and y'all both have kids. So what has that been like? What has been the most fun day in your quarantine process? And we need some tips on activities. So if y'all can put us on some game, let us know.
I got kids, so it's never a dull day. You know, they want to do everything. They want to rap. They want to do TikTok videos, shoot music videos, play video games. So it's kind of like I'm back in college. I just play video games, do Zoom calls, and then I've been working on DJing and making an album. So that's what I've been on.
And for me, it's, you know, I have a daughter, so it's definitely TikTok. And I'm buying a lot of clothes online. I don't even know where she orders from, but she picks her own clothes. I just give her my credit card. And for my son, it's Roblox. Like, you know, they play this virtual reality game where, you know, it's Roblox and he wants money for Robux, but he just wanted for gear. He does not own a house on Roblox. He just want to keep changing out his gear. So I already see the future where that money is going to go with my two kids separately.
Well, Earl, I'm about to graduate and my wardrobe needs revamping, so we'll talk.
Got you.
Speaking of quarantine and being home with your kids, I know y'all be chefing it up in the kitchen. What is your go-to meal that you cook for your kids?
I don't know. I mean, my kids like chicken tenders and French fries. I ain't gonna even lie. They want some chicken tenders and French fries. I try and cook like good healthy stuff for them, but you know they want all the movie snacks. You know, fries, chili cheese fries. I don't see how they so young be trying to eat that, but you know they be on it. Hot dogs. That's it.
And I think I am literally cold in the kitchen, like for real cold. You know what I mean? I'm like straight cold almond milk and frosted flakes. Like my food is a cold meal. That's all I can do. My son eats cereal all day. My daughter complains. Like when my daughter, it doesn't matter what I cook is nasty. She swears it's nasty. I don't believe it. Like I think I'm good at some things, but she tries to get in the kitchen. And that's where I'm lucky. Like BD got 2 boys. I got a girl and a boy. My daughter's 11. Now she gets in the kitchen. And, you know, I'm taste testing her food and, you know, it's getting better. That's all I can say. It's getting better.
Yeah, we're going to have a cook-off one day because
I'm down for that.
skills are on point. That's all I got to say.
Let's do that. I'm down for that. All day.
All right, well, we've come to the end of Bruin Table Talk. I just want to thank Earl and Baron for being on our show. We don't know how much we appreciate it so much.
Yeah, thank you for joining. We learned so much from you guys, and it was just cool to hear your perspective.
Yes, during recruiting, they always talk about the network and the people you get to meet, and y'all are definitely a part of that experience. So thank you for today.
Appreciate it.
Just to echo all of them, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, everything that we learned. I know we all just had a great time, nothing but smiles and laughter on our faces. And like always, go Bruins.
Go Bruins. Y'all
Go
keep
Bruins.
moving too. Keep
Yeah,
moving.
for real.
Y'all
We proud of y'all.
cracking. Hey, y'all keep it cracking, okay?